let's get to it. So, it's early Sunday afternoon, 2 weeks have passed, and so I've tagged and pushed out the 7.1 RC1 release, and the merge window is closed. Things look fairly normal, although we do have a few different projects to call, some old hardware support to help minimize maintenance burden, phasing out i486 support, config delete, code deletion to follow, and independently starting to remove some really old networking hardware support and removing some SoC support that never went anywhere. Very happy with that. That's good news. But we were more than making up for any stale code removal with all the new feature and code added, so the diff stat still shows many more line added than removed. That's normal. I would be interesting into what that is. As always, for the merge window, the diff stat and the short log are much too big to quote here. Merge window looks fairly normal stat-wise, possibly slightly on the bigger side. We've got about 13k non-merge commit with an additional 1000 merge commit. So happened below is just the top level view of merge I've done. God damn, that's an insane amount of work, no? Yeah, it is. The changes are all over, although the diff looks a bit lopsided due to another bulk AMD GPU register header sync. That register definition sync is about 25% of the total patch, but if you ignore that bulk change, everything else looks pretty normal. Half the updates are to the drivers, with the rest being spread out over Arch updates, file system, networking, and core kernel updates, with a healthy smattering of documentation, tooling, and self-test updates. Let's start testing and calming this thing down. All right, so yeah, AMD, it's normal that it's always like fucking up the amount of code, because for each GPU that they add, they have like 1500 files that they have to create or something. So yeah, AMD have their own magical thing that they do in the kernel that is a little cancerous. So yeah, let's get in there. So the one thing that is interesting, and maybe we should quote that already. Expected to begin removing i486 CPU support. Finally, it's time. Patch queued onto this. Okay, what's the patch itself? Oh, cool. We have the patch. In the x86 architecture, we have various complicated hardware emulation facilities on x86-32 to support ancient 32-bit CPUs that very few people are using with modern kernels. This compatibility glue is sometimes even causing problems that people spend time to resolve, which time could be spent doing other things. As Linus recently remarked, I really get the feeling that it's time to leave i486 support behind. There's zero real reason for anybody to waste 1 second of development effort on this kind of issue. Implement the first step and remove LN support. There's no reason M486 equals Y. What do they mean by M? What does that even mean? All right. Oh man, okay. Oh shit, so even if you... Oh, that's crazy. So if you add a distribution with just 32-bit, you wouldn't actually have that thing enabled. Oh man. That's a little bit funny, eh? All right, that's pretty good. Let's put that somewhere. We can put it under MISC. Removing i486 support. Yeah, that's probably the best way to put it. Okay, so follow source for good explainer, but okay, let's just first put the source. I never actually remember how to do it. Oh yeah, that's how I did it. Right. But one, oh shit, one only, it only removes, it only removed the kconfig two, related to. Can we get like all of the other? Nah, fuck the other. Let's not talk about it. Well, what is Elan? What are we talking about here? x86, 32, Elan. Oh, okay, cool. Let's just see if there's, okay. Okay, nothing new to note here. Okay, cool. Let's, sorry, brain had to process this thing. You know what? Not important that we include SX, but let's do Elan too. You know what? That's part of Arch, right? Okay, only removes the kconfig. We're causing issues with. We're causing issues with. Hello, brain. Blah, blah, blah. We're causing issues with other arches. Hardware emulation code. Okay. And 3, no one was using it. Most the dev didn't find any 32-bit distro that actually, 2L, right? Actually had that config enabled anyway. All right, cool. So that's first thing done. Let's just go down the reading the things. Reading the things. So really nothing to note. Also Linus stated that there also was additional deletion. Can I like create a quote for this? To be honest, 100% chance that this is not implemented correctly inside of my website, but hey, who gives a fuck? And implementally starting to remove really. Cool. Let's just quote this like this. Boom, boom, boom. Let's go. All right. Let me sneeze. All right. So that's one thing. Let's go to the next. I don't know. You might be yapping interesting things here. Let's see. Had problems with the backlight on my Dell. Okay, that's like very fucking generic. Thank you. Bro, the fact that Linus is wasting time on this, I hope he enjoys it. I don't know, that guy's a god. I wouldn't waste time on a fucking Dell backlight. Anyway. I bring you tidings of another regular RC release. 7.1-RC2 is out. Greetings, how has it been going while I was gone? It's been going well. We're starting off kernel research, so I'm focusing on that, but yeah, the kernel info thing is doing well as well. Apart from that, I've been crazy fucking sick, but I'm doing way better today, so I'm happy. Okay, 7.1-RC2 is out and looks fairly normal. Now the raw diff stat doesn't look normal, with half of the diff being to the KVM self-test, but that's pretty much entirely due to just renaming in the self-test that have the same naming convention as the kernel code has WRT, both variables, and type name, written or write, both. I don't fucking know. So it all looks big and strange, but you should just ignore that oddity. And when that part is masked out, the rest looks very normal. About half various driver fixes, GPU and networking dominating as usual, with the rest being spread all over the place. It's not small. While it's a bit early to say for sure, I do suspect that we're seeing the same continued pattern of more patches than usual, probably due to AI tooling that we saw in 7.0. Let's keep testing. All right, so that's standard. It's Sunday afternoon. We all know what it means, Mother's Day. Oh, brother, I don't know. But also, your regularly scheduled kernel release candidate. Sorry, I haven't really been online. A lot is happening currently, and this week is a last bit of time I have to show my own work to my teachers. Well, that's okay, my friend. That's what you should do. School is important, brother. Don't stop. And don't be sorry as usual, okay? Please don't. But also your regularly scheduled kernel release candidate. And I think this answers is 7.1 continuing the larger size pattern that we saw with 7.0 question? And the answer is yes. That wasn't a fluke brought on by a .0 release, it simply seems to be the new normal. This time around, a third of the patch is networking, both on the driver side and in core, and related self-test. The rest is pretty spread out, with other drivers, sound and GPU being the bigger ones, but there's a little bit of everything in there. Architecture update, PowerPC, x86, but also some long arch and VA risk. I don't know anything about this one. And various other fixes, SMB updates, various core kernel update, Rust infrastructure, SE Linux, documentation, etc. The short log below isn't exactly short, but not so long that you can't scroll through it to get some kind of idea of the detail. So priorities is priorities, but after I will have practically less undisturbed time to finally develop 24/7. Well, that's good for you, Enigma. Good for you, my friend. I'm trying to focus more because I left myself little time for this Linux release, really. So I need to clutch this pretty much, which is a relief on my end because I am so fed up with wasting time merely doing nothing. Oh, brother, I can relate. All right, back to Linux. So Linux 7.1-RC4. You all know the drill by now. Another week, another release candidate. Things continue to look fairly normal, where normal is the new normal with a fair amount of change. Drivers are about half the patch, with GPU leading the way, as is tradition, but there's a little bit of everything in driver land. The rest is mostly networking, core kernel, file system, and Arch updates. Some of the documentation updates might be worth highlighting. The continued flood of AI report has basically made the security list almost unmanageable, with enormous duplication due to the different people finding the same thing with the same tool. People spend all their time just forwarding things to the right people or saying that was already fixed a month or a week ago and pointing to the public discussion, which is all entirely pointless churn, and we're making it clear that AI detected bugs are pretty much by definition not secret, and treating them on some private list is a waste of time for everybody involved, and only makes that duplication worse because the reporters can't even see each other's report. AI tools are great, but only if they actually help, rather than cause unnecessary pain and pointless make believe work. Feel free to use them, but use them in a way that is productive and makes for a better experience. The documentation may be a bit less blunt than I am, but that's the core gist of it. So just to make it really clear, if you found a bug using AI tools, the chance of somebody else found it too. If you actually want to add value, read the documentation, create a patch too, and add some real value on top of what the AI did. Don't be the drive by, send a random report for no real understanding kind of person, okay? That's that's really good. Let's put a note on that. Find us on AI on finding bugs using AI. And let's make it, oh, I think I can just do this, right? Having a lot of resource to process is great, but doesn't clog up your bandwidth, but doesn't clog up the bandwidth of the conveyors. Yes, that's important too. What did I just do? Okay, cool. I fucked it up a little bit, but I'm back. All right, so now RC5. To the surprise of absolutely nobody by now, RC5 is pretty big, quite a bit bigger than RC5s have traditionally been. I'm not entirely happy about it. Most of this is totally trivial stuff to random drivers, which obviously make it all less scary, but at the same time, I'm really not convinced the churn is worth it at RC5 time. These things are fixes, sure, but at the same time, a lot of them are simply so irrelevant that I think that they're better off in the Linux next tree and get merged during the merge window. So I think I'll start being a bit more hard-nosed about this kind of unnecessary churn this late in the game. We are supposed to look for regressions. Non-critical fixes to long-standing issues are simply not appropriate for this late in the release cycle. End result, this is too big, and this is the heads up that I'll be pushing back on pointless pull requests with fixes that just aren't that important. And yes, several of these series are triggered by AI code review. Because fixes or not, and trivial or not, these kind of large RCs weak are not conducive to long-term stability. Trivial fixes may be trivial, but have pretty low chance of causing problems. But low chance, still not zero chance. So people, start looking closer at your pull request and ask yourself, is this really a regression or serious enough that it should just go into the development pile? That it shouldn't just go into the development pile. Enigma says, Linus Torvald is so direct yet polite. True. All right. So I'll put a note on that. All right, last one, RC6. Well, I couldn't call this small, but it's certainly smaller than RC5 was. And I don't think there's anything particularly scary here, so maybe we're still on track for a normal release cycle. Let's see. Things looks pretty normal except for the larger than I'd wish size, which I guess is which I guess technically is normal these days too. The bulk of the changes are drivers all over the place, GPU, networking, USB, serial, sound, SCSI, a little bit of everything. There's also core networking and self-test updates. The rest is pretty much spread out. Architecture fixes, x86 MIPS, ARM64, mainly KVM, file system fixes, SMB, NFS, and some other random fixes. Memory management, live update. Please keep testing. All right. So it looks like we're not going to get more time, but that's pretty good. Yeah, who gives a fuck? Let's go. Can I like ask it to, oh yeah, that's pretty fucking good. Can I full page this? Oh, brother. Get me in. Can this be full screen? How can I make this a page of its own? Disable links. I don't want it to be read by an AI. It's good that I read it. Although, text being a bit bigger is always a winner. Alright, we're gonna roll like that. Fuck it. The Linux 7.1 development kernel that amounts to nearly 40 million line has a lot of new features and changes in tow. While Linux 7.1 stable won't be out until mid-June, here's a look at the interesting changes coming with this next stable version of the Linux kernel. Linux 7.1 add the Apple SMC power driver for finally reporting battery metrics on Apple Silicon MacBook laptops using the mainline kernel. AMD is preparing new graphic hardware support, Intel has begun enabling Nova Lake P graphic support, and many other hardware support addition. Also very significant for Linux 7.1 is the introduction of a new NTFS driver that aims to provide better performance and feature than the existing NTFS file system option for Linux users. Ooh, shit, that's good. Linux 7.1 also notable for its code removal, driven by AI-assisted bug reporting. ISDN and other old networking code was removed to avoid that influx of bug reporting against those very rarely touched or used driver for obsolete hardware. Boss mouse support was also removed, and some obsolete PCMCIA driver. Is that how that's written? PCMCIA. I thought it was like, I thought there didn't was a, I didn't know there was a I in there. Okay. Retiring of UDP Lite kernel support. Okay. And there was also removal of some old PCIe driver. Most notable, the removal side is beginning to phase out the... Okay, I guess they're going to talk about it in more detail. Fuck. If we haven't talked about removing, there is an issue. Okay, cool. So that's a quick note that we'll remember that I need to do something with this. Linux 7.1 is also showing off some nice incremental performance improvement and performance enhancements, like enabling Intel Thread by default. That is of immediate benefit to Panther Lake system. More Linux 7.1 kernel performance benchmark are forthcoming on different hardware platform at Phoronix. Continue on for more exclusive look. Okay, cool. Beginning to retire. Oh, thank you. Okay, Linus Torval. Can we remove this part? Why does it exist? I need a thing that cuts this shit. Is it because of how scrolled I am? It's because of how scrolled I am. Fuck me, bro. Just one scroll away. Linus Torval merged the code, beginning to remove Intel 486 CPU support in Linux 7.1. As follows news. Okay, I think we've already read all this. Okay, this is the same. No. Okay, cute. We already read all this. Cool. Next. Well, it also means that I don't have to do this. Cool. All right. So that's done. Intel Fred enabled by default. I'm scared because I think we covered something like this last time. Did I fuck something up? Fred? No? No Intel. What the fuck did we talk about Intel? Each time that I look at these again, I'm like, what, that wasn't like 4 release ago? That was what we talked about last time? It always feels like so much back in time. Oh no, it was TSX that we talked about. Okay, cool. So why I have recently reinstalled the kernel like 5 times with each update? Yeah, of course. Nothing bad with that. Nothing bad with that. Okay. Didn't we covered Fred, okay? Fuck this. We covered Fred. I know we did. Come on. What the fuck is Fred? Who is Fred? Get Fred the fuck in. I'll kick Fred's ass. Find him. Kick him in the butt. Remove support for Fred. Oh. Okay, okay. I mean, I can stay lazy on maintenance. Yeah, I update my machine so not often that this is not something I look at. Okay. Man, okay. I'm fucking confused here. I've made a thing about this. Bro, I've talked about this before. Fred, where the fuck are you? No way, bro. Okay, fuck. I'll have to read. How not often that I update my machine? Usually it was because of Discord, so right now never unless I like actively need to install something, which is never. So I changed GPU. I bought a 5070, and because of that, I had to, of course, update. But since then, no. All right. What's Intel Fred? Flexible return event delivery. Oh shit, that's a complicated thing in it. What the fuck? Oh, that's the old thing. Okay, fuck. Let's... well, I would suggest that you never run update command then, as by what you've experienced will things. I don't... I disagree. I think Arch is pretty stable when you have it set up correctly. I was, like, in the church of it always breaks, but I don't know, I've been running good. If something breaks, I'll cry, that's all. I'll be streaming from my laptop. 720p, just, you'll see my fucking chin. I'll be crying. That's all you'll see, okay? Yeah, you know what? That's probably something that I should research tomorrow while I'm working. So... So Arch, here we have x86, and we could do here Intel Red. We should explain Red. And let's put a little note here with that and there. I don't know, it just seems like the package manager doesn't run from A to Z and just reinstalls the program that have a version difference. Well, isn't that what it's supposed to do? Isn't that, like, isn't it supposed to reinstall the program that have an update? I don't know. Am I retarded? Oh no! I'm dumb. AMD CPPC. Oh, the Communist Party. No. Not talking about the CCP here. Performance priority diagram, EPP handling. Oh man, those are all like the crazy, not understandable things I should have researched today. Such a dumbass. Yeah, but a proper update system should go through not just the latest. I don't think that's necessary now. Like if you were good about the way that you were to make your updates inside of your update package, you should have the new files, which can just be slapped onto your thing, and you should have a script that itself should already contain like all that you need to do in order to upgrade from very first version to the last, and it should detect your version and then upgrade it if there's something to upgrade there. I don't know. I'm yapping here. I'm yapping because I'm not going to be able to do shit. Let's start by making the categories. So I see that it's up to the... I see. So it's up to the package themselves. Yes, I would expect that the package itself, like if I were to do a package manager, I would have two things within the package manager. Thing one would be the data. Thing two would be what to execute afterwards. Everything else is up to the package. So like when I say Arch is more stable now, what I'm not saying is that Arch is magically better. What I'm saying is that open source things, like everything that we use for open source, seems to be way more stable and coherent when before it wasn't. Like before it was very easy to essentially remove one magical feature or remove like one thing that would render half of your system dead, where today those things don't tend to happen, or at least they are like easily reversible. So like when your driver fucks up, right? Just reinstall the driver. It's not like back in time where you have an update. Oh, your machine just doesn't fucking boot. It's not like it's big on your screen. No, it's you're done. So yeah. Anyway, that's my vibes on it. You know what? Let's do boring shit. Oh, maybe it's interesting. What the fuck is this? Caveri. I need most of happy. Oh, okay. All right, that makes more sense. I still question why it seems my system breaks when I'm behind for version. In my limited experience, the reason why you will have a failure with your Arch is because you have something that is not installed correctly or not set up correctly. So for example, this cam was installed on like a wrong version of the driver, and like by installing it correctly, by making it a DVK or DKVM, what the fuck, what's the name? Yeah, I should be able to, yeah, that's the thing. DKMS, okay, DKMS. By making it the right version, A, and B, the DKMS thing, it made it so that I now have no problem at all. So that's a big thing. And like I'm saying something that is very obvious because it's the cam, but I feel like there's a bunch of things that we just don't know about that are exactly like this. Like we set it up because we only know how to set it up in one way, but it's a big fucking hack, and in reality we should set it up in another way. So, yeah. And also, if you're pissed about like fucking over your kernel every now and then, just use the LTS kernel. That will make your life a little bit more stable. It's also why I am switching to CachyOS. I can get my hands dirty later when I have the time to properly make my own distro. Right now, I just want to develop without interruption. I should have gone with that upon installation too. Yeah, but you learn and then you reinstall your shit and you're like, okay, now it just works. Okay, can I just understand this? What is GCN? Okay, what is GCN? Graphic Core Next. Cool. 2012, fuck this. Bro, why? Oh man, why am I reading something about this? Then, what the fuck is this about? To be clear, I'm not complaining. I'm sure that I have done 20 things wrong. I'm only pondering this mistake and considering things for my own distro. On distro is probably a big time waster. Only do it if you love doing it. But if you think that you're going to make your life easier in any kind of way, that's not the case. Talking from experience. Um. Oh, fucking hell. 2014. Why? That's so fucking boring. You have those atrocious fucking things. For example, I'm not using an LTS, which should probably... Yes, you should probably use an LTS. If you don't want to mess with things, LTS is the way to go, because your big updates that might remove things that you need will happen way less often. Okay, can this be like more interesting in the AMD side? We talked about debug effects, no? Or no? Debug, no? Okay. Well, we'll fucking talk about it. You know what? I probably need to chill for today because my brain is not smart enough for this shit. I'll pre-read most of this and probably note down on my laptop while taking phone calls tomorrow. We got 2 weeks for this to be completed and having an edit in the fucking pipe. This is going to be one hell of a time. Yeah, it should really be reverse lol, seeing how you would only use the latest release for application kernel testing. Yeah, but Arch, like, that's the philosophy, right? So, like, you need to follow the philosophy. Like, it would not make sense. Like, see it the other way, right? It would not make sense that every part of your software is bleeding edge, but the kernel. That sounds a little bit ridiculous as a setup for a distro. Not sure if I understand your last comment, but yeah, in any case, if you're doing like... No, it just makes sense the setup that they have right now. It's just that for most people, it's logical for these people to have an LTS, and that's why most distros use an LTS. Arch just have a philosophy that would be weird to violate at this point. Anyway, I'll fuck off. It was fun to talk with you, okay? Indeed, but you could also argue that everything should be LTS, and their bleeding edge is the secondary. Yeah, but then you would be using Ubuntu, Fedora, or some other thing, right? That's the core of it. Manjaro had tried to do a kind of thing like that, but to my knowledge, they were at some point less stable than Arch itself because of that. Yeah. Anyway, I'll fuck off. Love you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.